Today was the day you had to break out the shovel. Heavy snow piled up on neighborhoods around the metro area, some places picking up more than a foot. Going up higher in elevation, you will find towns that got, well, close to 2 feet of snow in some areas. Many schools had to cancel classes, and the morning commute wasn't exactly pleasant. Thanks for joining us here at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I'm Kim Christensen. I'm jumping ahead an hour.
5 o'clock for all of our viewers
it's 5 o'clock
in the Central
somewhere.
Time Zone.
Somewhere.
Yeah, our Indianapolis and Chicago viewers. I am Tom Green, and as enjoyable as the snow was to watch fall, it was heavy to shovel for those of us who shoveled.
It's very dense.
Did you shovel?
Today I didn't have to.
You did not shovel?
No, I got to drive home in it last night though. That was my special treat.
Not great.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, here in the metro area, Denver public school students had no choice but to go and brave these elements. That's because the school district did not issue a cancellation or even a delay, and that decision made some parents unhappy. And 9 News reporter Jaleesa Irizarry is live with us. And Jaleesa, you caught up with just some of those parents.
Yeah, Kim and Tom, it's hard to tell right now because things warmed up and melted a lot of the snow. In fact, some of the snow on top of this car was at least 2 to 4 inches higher a couple of hours ago. But the morning commute was brutal for some DPS families. Some even decided to stay home while others took the risk and hit the road. But it was so bad, DPS even admits they got it wrong.
Outside of Denison Montessori, Coloradans have a lesson to learn. No matter how much someone shovels, there are problems someone simply can't dig out of.
I think frustrated.
For DPS parent Gerard Torres,
and disappointed.
This morning was one of them.
It was just ridiculous. And so we thought for sure that DPS would have at least called a 2-hour delay.
On Friday, Denver public school students woke up to piles of snow, but no delay or cancellation. A decision some parents believe was dangerous.
Here's what all the other Denver roads look like today.
A Central Park mom shared this video and her frustrations.
At 7:30, when I should have been up driving my child to school this morning, this was horrific and dangerous.
Another in West Barnum,
it's past my ankles,
felt the same. She says a plow didn't hit her street until the school start time.
This morning there was a tow truck pulling out a car just right in front of my house. Absolutely frustrated for sure.
So we will be better next time.
Scott Pribble is a spokesperson for Denver Public Schools. He says at 4 a.m., district leaders met and didn't think there was enough snow to warrant a delay. A couple hours later, that changed.
We felt like it was too late to make that decision and without really impacting parents and staff. We've already met this morning, the team that makes this decision to say, hey, we missed this one because of the way the weather came in. How can we do this better next time?
Torres hopes
100%.
They do make improvements, so today's problems can be part of a solution.
You know, because DPS has always touted, you know, how important kids and the safety of kids is, and just today was not a good example of that.
Now, the district says another reason why this decision was difficult was because of the range of snow totals across the district. Southeast Denver got at least 6 inches, whereas West Denver got at least 11 inches. Still, parents say that's enough to make a call. Reporting live in Denver, Jaleesa Irizarry, 9 News.
Jaleesa, we're going to talk about the different areas and what kind of snow they did or didn't see, but I can see behind you, it looks like it's maybe piled up from a plow. That's nearly 3/4 of an Irizarry high. The snow behind you.
Yeah, I know. Is it taller than me? I can't tell.
Not quite.
But yeah, that is, but that is plowed snow, so it's a little more dramatic.
Thanks, Jaleesa. All right, let's take a look across the Denver metro area. Very different picture in very different areas. Much of this snow is going to be gone by tomorrow. A lot of it melted already today, but we're really going to warm up. Temperatures going to jump up into the 50s and even 60s by the end of the weekend, rounding out a week where we've seen those record-breaking low temperatures and all this snow that fell. So let's get over to Corey Reppenhagen and talk about what happened and what's coming our way.
Yeah, you know, as far as that storm goes, one of the impacts, I think, having the kids out of school or on a 2-hour delay is the traffic. It decreases the traffic so much that the road crews can work more efficiently. And so that is, I think, one of the best arguments for going ahead and calling those those snow days for the kids. Out here on the live radar, this is the very last little remnants of that storm exiting from southeast Colorado right now, and we're just left with a few high mountain pass flurries. And the temperature is another thing that we've got going for us. 40s across the metro here. That's the first time we've been above freezing since last Sunday. So it's been a long ride here. Temperatures across the region right now are relatively warm from what we've been seeing, but that's nothing compared to what's coming. Starting tomorrow, we'll start to get these temperatures on the rise. Nothing but sunshine all day across the Front Range here, and we'll get those temperatures up to about the 50-degree mark, and then we'll start introducing some 60s after that. That is the information I've got in the forecast.
We turn now to the conviction of the deputy who killed Christian Glass. But that conviction yesterday isn't the final chapter in the story. There are 4 other officers who were on the scene that night now awaiting their trials. They'll be this spring and summer. They're on trial for not stepping in and stopping the shooting.
We reported the verdict in Andrew Buen's case here last night about this time. The former deputy was convicted of criminally negligent homicide for shooting and killing Christian Glass that night. 9 News reporter Steve Steger has been asking if Buen's conviction might have an impact on those other cases. Steve?
Yeah, Kim, there were actually 7 police officers on scene in Silver Plume the night that Christian Glass called 911 for help after getting his SUV stuck on a boulder. The 6 officers who didn't shoot all were charged with failure to intervene to stop the shooting. A judge dropped charges against 2 of them on a technicality. The others are preparing for their jury trials.
The reality is that this is a jury that did their job.
A former deputy is entering his 2nd full day in the jailhouse where he used to work. Andrew Buen is now in custody, awaiting sentencing in mid-April after a jury decided his actions the night of Christian Glass's death amounted to criminally negligent homicide.
But I would anticipate a sentence imposed within the 1 to 3 years, or a sentence to probation with perhaps county jail as a condition.
As Buen is locked up here, 4 of his colleagues will make their way through a different wing of the building. Randy Williams, the head of the Georgetown Police Department. Tim Collins, a former Clear Creek County deputy who arrived with Buen on scene that night. Brittany Morrow, an Idaho Springs police officer. And Ryan Benny, a Colorado State Patrol trooper. The 4 of them have been charged with a misdemeanor, failure to intervene. All were on scene that night when Glass called 911 for help. Prosecutors allege they should have stepped in to stop Buen before the shooting.
I anticipate that the judges that hear these 4 cases, if they all go to trial, will not let evidence about the conviction of Andrew Buen be part of the case. That would seem to be simple fairness.
9 News legal analyst Scott Robinson says Buen's conviction shouldn't have much of an impact on those outstanding cases, though it could.
The conviction of the individual most responsible may open the door for plea bargains with the other defendants.
Misdemeanor cases only need 6 jurors rather than 12. But keep in mind, upwards of 1/3 of Clear Creek County's small population has already been summoned for Buen's trials.
There is a risk of what we call overlapping jury panels because of the number of people who have been called on the prior 2 Buen cases. Hopefully the judge can sort out who will be fair and find 6 jurors to try these misdemeanor cases if all 4 go to trial.
2 Colorado Division of Gaming officers were also on scene. They saw their charges drop last year after a judge decided the pair technically weren't peace officers and didn't have to intervene in this case. The 4 others will go on trial in May and June. If convicted, they would have to surrender their license to be a police officer in the state of Colorado. Live in studio, Steve Steger, 9 News.
I think some people would wonder, Steve, why hasn't there been some kind of a plea already? And also, I know you touched on this yesterday. There's been a complete turnover in the department up there since this incident.
Yeah, you know, the first part of that question, it's difficult to get a plea here because these are misdemeanor charges. If you plead guilty, you're giving up your license to be a police officer. Now, some of them may say, I don't want to go through the hassle of a trial leading up to this, but they've gone this long and their trials are coming up here, so you'd think that they would potentially do it. So much has changed in Clear Creek County in the last few years. We have a new sheriff up there. That new sheriff is implementing all sorts of new training. Sent out a statement yesterday talking about the change and how important it was to him to do that, especially for the Glass family. But there's also a mental health crisis response team in Clear Creek County now, a response team that would respond to a call like Christian Glass's that night in June of 2022.
So So tragic that wasn't in place before, but you have to hope that is some of the good that came out of something.
Yeah, there is some positive in all of this. And, you know, Sally Glass talks about there are people walking up to her on the streets of Georgetown during this trial and saying, thank you for what you've done, pushing for this because it's made change.
Okay. Thank you, Steve.
A former Colorado teacher now facing charges. 44-year-old Tara Johnson Swartz was arrested yesterday on suspicion of kidnapping and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. According to the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, Johnson Swartz previously worked as a teacher at STEM School Highlands Ranch, the charter school within Dougco. Court documents indicate that the kidnapping charge relates apparently to Johnson Swartz taking a student off campus without permission from the student's guardians. She's accused of regularly texting the student and occasionally buying them cigarettes. Court documents also say that the victim told police they also kissed once. School officials tell us Johnson Swartz worked at STEM School Highlands Ranch from 2022 until last Friday. She's currently being held in the Douglas County Detention Facility.
The people of Georgetown and the Loveland ski area are mourning the death of a beloved member of the community. Parker, the snow dog, has passed away. Parker was the mascot of Loveland ski area, an honorary mayor of Georgetown who brought smiles to his fans wherever he went. He was also known statewide for his social media. It was also a big emphasis on sports. Every team in Colorado got the support, wearing the Broncos jersey right there. His handler, Dustin Schaefer, says he died in a car crash on Christmas Eve near Kremling. Schaefer was also involved in that crash while they were on an ice fishing trip. Parker became the official ski area mascot in 2017, was sworn in as honorary mayor in 2020. He was 8 years old.
You can now file your state tax return, at least some people can. Steve on your side has learned that the state of Colorado started to accept some tax returns this morning. Colorado's Department of Revenue telling consumer investigator Steve Steger they did start to process returns filed by third-party tax services like TurboTax and H&R Block. The department's free online tax portal is still offline, but the department says it should be working in the coming days. Colorado had been one of the only states not accepting tax returns. That confused a lot of taxpayers. State officials saying it took extra time, extra effort to make all of the tax code changes.
Believe it or not, on a day like this, baseball season is just around the corner. The Rockies playing in their first spring game today down in Phoenix against the Diamondbacks. Wouldn't it be nice to be there?
Well, yeah, a nice day down there, especially for the Rockies. Bretton Doyle hit a grand slam, and
How
the
about
Rockies
that?
got sixth in the ninth inning to win their opener against the Diamondbacks, 12-8, the final score. So that was a pretty nice start. Much more from the spring training game will come up in our sportscast. That's at 5 o'clock. And it comes as new rules are being implemented right ahead of the new baseball season.
For the first time in MLB, players will be able to challenge calls on balls and strikes, but only during spring training games. They'll also be able to do it with the assistance of automated replay review system, similar to what is used in tennis and soccer. About 60% of spring training games will feature this new system. The earliest the system could take effect in a regular season game, Major League Baseball, would be next year. There's also another change coming to the baseball. The New York Yankees have scrapped the facial hair policy instituted in 1976 by then owner George Steinbrenner. The team had generally required players to be clean shaven when they were in the uniform. However, mustaches were allowed. Now, maybe a Chuck Nasty, a lot of other facial hair.
Yeah, I always kept clean shaven in case they called.
You did? You were ready?
Well, you never know, and especially the
know.
Yankees tend to overpay. So.
Oh, that's true. They do overpay. You got to be ready for that.